Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Tips and Tricks for Local SEO. I'm Amber Noble, a marketing specialist at Barracuda MSP, and I'm happy to be moderating today's session. Today, I'm joined by Stuart Crawford, head of Ulistic, a company dedicated to coaching IT service providers to greater success. With an eye for cost-effective marketing and sales strategies, he has achieved great heights. During today's educational webinar, Stuart will take us through the importance of local search engine optimization and why having a local SEO strategy is crucial to your MSP marketing success. Before we get started, let's do some brief housekeeping. During the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to share them using the questions or chat panels to the right of the Zoom webinar screen. At the conclusion of the webinar, you'll be prompted to complete a brief polling survey. Please take a moment to tell us what you think so we can continually improve the content and quality of our online events. Now, without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Stuart to begin today's presentation. Take it away, Stuart.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Amber, for that wonderful introduction. I'm honored to be considered again with the fine folks at Barracuda to provide some educational content for the people that are on today's webinar. We got a good crowd, so I'm looking forward to teaching and educating you on how you can actually, if you wish, do your own local SEO optimization or just realize that what you need to know to when you're working with your MSP website company. So yeah, as Amber said, my name is Stuart Crawford, and I am an SEO consultant at Ulistic, and I also get the joy of working with MSPs every day on how to improve their local search engine optimization and website marketing strategies in the bigger picture. So we're going to go whip through a number of slides and then demos today, and I'm going to show you some tools that we use at Ulistic to better optimize our client websites, and I'm going to strip it all down and show you exactly what we do. So they're going to leave no stone unturned for you, so you can if you decide to take some of this and run with it yourself, you can. I love this quote from Adam Ferrer at HostGator, where really we're transitioning from a PC to mobile internet. And really, if you just look around, how many of us have smart devices of some sort now? So local SEO, and I know there's some argument back and forth on this with regards to IT services and managed services and total, but we are starting to see some trends towards mobile starting to dominate some of the search, even in the SEO, even in the MSP space. So it's really no longer nice to have it, and you really need to start focusing on building out your local SEO strategy, especially for the mobile world and the the constant connected communities that we live in. So when it comes to local SEO, it's critical for managed service providers to really understand there's 5 core areas that we need to focus on. Number one, the most important one is always lead generation. Most MSPs that I work with, that is their number one priority. We need more leads. I don't particularly care for the word lead. I like to look at more as an opportunity. What kind of opportunities can your SEO bring to your organization? An opportunity may not be somebody who wants to buy services from you, but it could be a referral partner or someone that's looking for you to speak at one of their conferences or stuff like that. And, I had an interview this week with my friend Tony Tai, who is a media and PR specialist. And Tony and I worked together for years based on a Google search he did back in my MSP days, looking for a source for a media piece that he was working on with the local news. And that was just a Google search, and that led to a number of key opportunities in my own MSP days. Obviously, there's a local exposure part, link building, and social sharing are components we're going to get into today. We already kind of touched base on mobile search. We'll get into that a little bit more throughout the course of today's webinar. And then social proof reviews. I don't know anybody who doesn't go somewhere now and check out reviews before they engage or go out for dinner or go watch a movie or buy something from Amazon. And yes, even buy IT services. So reviews are super important in today's world. It's all about search results, and Google is putting emphasis now on local results. If you haven't done a Google search, and I'm going to kind of focus on Google today. 85% of the search market out there is still owned by Google. So I'm not even going to worry about the others out there. I'm going to just really focus on Google. And in Google's world, mobile is their number one focus point. Just look at how they've optimized the search result pages now that have the knowledge pane, the snack pack, which is what a screenshot of what I'm showing you here on the screen. And besides advertising, being the top 4 spots, usually on any search now, you're going to see some sort of snack pack like this where you get, some local search results showing up in the map and all that stuff. So, that is their focus, folks. That's what they are wanting to drive in. Local, super important. So 46% of all searches are local. So it is some, and even in the B2B space, in B2B especially, there's some local company going to Google looking for another local company. It could be IT services, it could be any other topic, but people are searching local. They're looking for somebody near them. They're looking for a company in your metropolitan area that specializes in something. So very, very important now to, again, reemphasize almost half the searches out there in today's Google search world are coming from some local perspective. And another interesting stat I found out just by doing some research for today, that 56% of local businesses haven't claimed their Google My Business listing. Now, if you're not familiar with Google My Business, I'm going to get into this in depth today, but I think it's pretty well known and pretty common practice now for people to at least know what it looks like when they see it on the screen. But I was shocked that over half of the businesses out there haven't claimed their Google My Business. And if I was the owner of this managed service shop in Tampa with 15 reviews, and they're good reviews, you got a 4.7 average score with 15 reviews, but he or she doesn't own the business yet. So they don't have any perspective of what people are saying about them. And that also has a negative impact, and we'll get into that in a little while. But if I was the business owner and I took the name out just to protect the innocent here, I would be very concerned, because that's something that as a marketing professional, as a business owner, I want to own. And local SEO is just the process of optimizing your online presence with a goal of attracting more business from relevant local searches. That's really all it is. It's when somebody around the corner or across town is searching for what you have to offer, we want you to appear in the search, and not necessarily that map area. I'm talking about organic search as well. So we're gonna get into some strategies on that in a little bit here. So let's dive into local SEO. Let's see what do we have to do? What do we need to focus on in order to make our local SEO efforts very effective? Well, step number 1. Google My Business. And like I mentioned earlier, almost half of the businesses out there is coming from local search. So Google My Business is a very simple step that you can take to get out there. Things like your company name, category, hours of operation, your address, phone number, and I'm going to get into all this stuff as we go through here. But one very important statement as we go through building, and I'm going to build a test case here. I'm going to show you this a little. Remember this statement: my business is a blank, not my business has a blank. And I'm going to, so I'll get into this a little bit more as we go through the demo. For some reason, the slides got a little out of order here, but this one should have came first. But step number, just forget about, we'll come back to this one in a sec. But first, actually, the first step 0, really make sure your website is optimized for mobile. If your website's not optimized for mobile technologies, one of the things that I see a lot of in the managed service space is that their website has buttons on there like click here for a free quote or something like that. On a mobile, they still have that click here to get a free quote button. What we do when we create a mobile page is we take that click here for a free quote and we just make it into a call us button. So you see here on the screen that the button says call us. So when they click on that button, it rings, it calls the office. And Google has a very good testing tool called the Google Mobility Checker. Just go and you can type it into Google and look for it. And it'll tell you if your website is mobile friendly or not. And if it isn't, it'll tell you what you need to do to make it make it search ready. And Bright Local says that 61% of mobile users are more likely to contact a local business with a mobile site. So again, this one here, very simple. It's got the menu and it's got the call us button. So when somebody lands on it, sees they're an IT service company, they click that call us button, and it dials the number from a mobile device. So now we're going to get into Google My Business. So I already talked about this slide, and we're going to go through a demo here. But very, very important to start setting up your Google My Business once you got your mobile page ready. Set up your Google My Business account. So one of the discussion points we get in before we get into really the demo part of it is, and for those people a little more experienced on the Google My Business platform, and a lot of smaller managed service business may not have a physical office address. So the debate becomes, should I put my address or my service address? And I remember when I first started Ulistic, I worked out on my home, and I was a little reluctant to put my home address on there because I thought clients would just show up. Really, it doesn't happen that often. I would still look at getting some physical office address, even if you have to get a virtual office address like a Regis or something like that. I would publish your office address because Google still today, although they're figuring out ways, they're not perfect, but they're figuring out ways that they can look for proximity still kind of rules the roost here. So if you have multiple MSPs in, say, say downtown Chicago, they are going to spring in the map pack there, the ones that are the closest. Doesn't always happen, depending on how you're searching, but they're still working out some how they're going to do that. I would like to see more relevance versus proximity. But there's a lot of factors that go into this. Your domain authority. How much power does your domain have in Google? Is a very, very important factor. And what if you're too far away? Let's say you do service downtown Chicago, but you live out in the suburbs. Even if you service downtown Chicago, can you still be relevant? So these are things you're trying to figure out. So one of the easy cheats, if you are too far away, is to buy your way into the snack pack. So for those people that have a little bit of experience with Google AdWords, you can actually set up a location extension in your AdWords. And if you see here on this example here, right here on this first listing, it has ad right next to it. So this person here is paying for that spot. So if they are, let's say they're 50 miles away, but they're servicing that area, you can actually buy your way into that and show up in the snack pack for a local search. It's a good way to, it's a good way to get up higher in the snack pack, but you do pay for that click. So something to keep in mind if you are, wanting to get into a certain geography, but maybe just too far away to show up in a proximity search, you could buy your way into by setting up the local extension inside of your Google AdWords. So I'm going to get into a quick demo here. I'm going to set up a Google My Business account. So if you don't know how to log into Google My Business, you just type in Google My Business into the search box, and then you need to have a valid Google account, and that's to claim your account or whatever. But I'm gonna go through it and I'm gonna set up a brand new listing here, just for those people who are never done this before and want to set up an account, or maybe you have one and you just don't know how to optimize. We're gonna get into a lot of that stuff in a second. So I'm gonna basically call myself Stuart's managed IT services company. Now, the reason why I put this in here is if you're in this early stages, especially if you're just starting out, if you can work in keywords into your company name, that also plays a role in these searches. So if you are starting out and you want to call yourself Ulistic Managed IT Services Company, you can go ahead and do that, make that your legal name, and then nobody can nobody can argue that, because users on Google can go in and make recommendations on changes, especially if you notice that people are keyword stuffing their company names. So I'm just going to, for argument's sake, I'm just going to call myself Stuart's Managed IT Services Company. So here's that question. Do I want customers to come and visit my location, like a store or an office? I can say yes or no here. I'm gonna say yes, and then it's gonna walk me through and say, okay, what's your street address? So my street address is 200 Circle Park Drive in Sebring, Florida, and my zip code shows up there, and I click next, just like, you know, it knows where I am. But here now, do I also serve customers outside of this location? Well, I can say yes here, and it will go through, and it'll allow me to pick other geography. So maybe I want to put in Avon Park, Florida, which is just up Route 27, and Route 27 the other way is Lake Placid, Florida. Maybe I want to also say that I'm in Wauchula. I can put in Wauchula, Florida, so I can service all these areas. Click next. Now, here's very important. You want to select one category at this stage, not multiple categories. So remember that statement, my business is, not my business has, okay? So I'm going to put in my business is a computer consultant. And then I can put my phone number, which is going to be 863-451-3088, and my website, which is ulistic.com. If I can type. Okay, click next. Oh, it doesn't like that phone number for some reason. Maybe I missed the number. Let's try that again. And that's it. It's going to ask me to verify it next. So I can verify it one of several ways, depending on how Google sees it. I can actually call the numbers right now and go and tell my team here, hey, Google's going to call. They're going to give you a 5 or 6 digit number. Write that down and then give it to me. And that will get you up and running relatively quickly. Or I can have it mailed to me in the mail. So I'm just going to choose this one for now, just because I don't want to confuse people at the office. I'll click mail. Now in about 5 days, Google will send me a postcard like so. Click continue, and there it is. There's my Google My Business account set up. Now there's a lot of other things we need to do here. One is going to the info tab and put in more information. So I remember I just put one thing, computer consultant. I can go in here now and add another category. Maybe I want to see if there's anything for information technology, information services. I can do, see what's in for computers again, computer service. Apply that, it'll add those extra you don't want to go too crazy here, okay? You definitely want to put your hours of operation in here. Very important. I'm going to tell you about this a little later on, but you can go and put, I'm not going to go through it right now just for the sake of the demo, but you put your hours of operations in. You can put any other websites if you have an appointment URL and then services that you want to add. So here you can add all your services. So maybe you have a backup and disaster recovery. Maybe you have a cybersecurity practice. Maybe you have different tiers of managed services. You can put that all right in here. So click back here. So those are some very quick tips to getting your Google My Business account set up. The other thing you want to really focus on is photos, and publish photos of your buildings, inside your offices. The more Google will tell you if you ever have a problem with Google My Business getting optimized, that the more photos you can put in, the better. So make sure you do take some good photos from around your office and plug that in there and go that route and make sure you get it all. Make sure you get it as full as possible. You want your Google My Business account, your Google My Business account to be has as much detail as possible. So I'm going to go back into my presentation here. And the next area I want to focus on is your main marketing website. So this is going to be your company website, ulistic.com or yourmsp.com. So the reason why I touched on mobile first, because that's something you need to make sure your website's mobile optimized. Second, there's another two reasons I went to Google My Business second, because Google My Business becomes the cornerstone for what us guys in the industry, the SEO people in the industry, call NAP, name, address, and phone number. So your name, address, and phone number must be consistent across everything on your web, on the web. I'm not going to say your website, everything on the web. And I like to say Google My Business becomes that corner piece to make sure that you have consistency, or as close to consistency as possible. So what I recommend people do next is in the footer of every page of your website, you have your address, just like it appears in Google My Business, your hours of operation, just as they appear in Google My Business, and any other criteria. And I don't have it on this screenshot here, but it wouldn't hurt to put a Google Map snippet into your footer as well, and link to your directions page. And because there's some other tools that we use at Ulistic that actually look for that. And so these are little tips and tricks to help you get your local rankings, because now it sees Liberty, Missouri, which is a suburb of Kansas City, and your office hours. So Google's starting to piece things together and say, oh, you know what? This MSP might be in the Kansas City metro area. So when people are searching for IT services in Kansas City, if it's relevant, I'm gonna show that. So name, address, phone number, hours, operation, Google Map, directions, and then your social media icons. That doesn't have anything really to do with local search, but there are some relevance to social media from a brand identity. So once you get that all set up and your footer set up, the next thing you want to start doing is your keyword research. So you want to sit down with your website team or your management team and start brainstorming what we call SILs, service in location keywords. This could be managed IT services in Atlanta, managed IT services in Alpharetta, managed IT services in Roswell, managed IT services in Marietta, all the cities and towns around the core area that you want to be in, because there is documentation and analytics now that prove that people are typing in managed IT services in Alpharetta, Georgia. So having that keyword knowledge will help you be prepared, because we have a lot of work to do here to make sure that when somebody types in managed IT services in Alpharetta, that you show up. So a couple ways that we do it as SEO people is Google autocomplete. So if you go into Google, let me just find my Google tab here. Bear with me a second. If I type in, let's say IT services, in Atlanta, right? So here is IT services in Atlanta, IT services in Atlanta, GA, and IT services in Atlanta, Georgia. Those are three very separate keywords. So you might want to put those down on your list. IT services in Atlanta, IT services in Atlanta, Georgia, IT services in Atlanta, GA. And if I went and did Alpharetta, you can see Alpharetta, GA shows up. If I went to Alpharetta here, you can see Alpharetta, GA, and Alpharetta, Georgia. So Google autocomplete is one strategy. Another tool that we use, which is free, is this tool called Uber Suggest. It is done by a gentleman by the name of Neil Patel. It's free. You can go and use it at any time. You can type in Atlanta IT services here. It will give you how much search volume it is on a keyword, how difficult it is to rank that keyword. So it's got Atlanta IT services has a 33 score, which is a medium difficulty. Paid difficulty to get that page, is very hard. That tells it's going to cost you $44 a click if you did Google advertising on this one keyword alone. And you can see some trends on the searches. It looks like in December there was a peak of 390 searches and kind of been flat ever since. And here it gives you some other keyword ideas. Again, you're going to have to filter through this because a lot of them are going to be relevant. But you can look at doing something like, maybe we type in Atlanta managed IT services. and do the same exercise here with Atlanta managed IT services. Uber Suggest will go and query and come back with all the analytics here and tell us if this is a worthwhile keyword to go after. So again, it's going to come back and bring all that information. So again, I'm just going to go through this quickly because I don't know how long it's going to take to pull all this information in. So use a tool like Uber Suggest, and you can, one of the strategies I highly recommend is go and do a search and take the top 3 competitors and put your top 3 competitors into something like Uber Suggest as well and see what keywords they're ranking for. So cool things you can do with some of the tools out there. Another tool I'm going to show you a little later is Ahrefs, which is a tool that I use quite extensively. So let's assume we got our SLLs done, we got our keywords figured out. The next thing you want to do is your on-page SEO techniques. So you want to make sure you have your keywords in your H1 tags, your title tags, and your URLs. You have short URLs. So when you're creating all these content pages, you keep these 4 key things in mind. So remember, you're building a page for IT services in Atlanta, GA, IT services in Atlanta, Georgia, IT services in Atlanta, IT services Alpharetta, GA, IT services in Alpharetta, Georgia. You're creating content with all these keywords. So you have all that figured out, and then the first big step, if you're a single location, which most managed service providers today are the higher percentage of a single location, you want to optimize your homepage. You want to make sure that you have your keywords in your homepage. So if I take this Atlanta IT company here, they have their Atlanta here, Atlanta here. Okay, so that's want to make sure you have that mentioned on your homepage and in your title tags and your descriptions and all that stuff. Then the next thing you want to do once you get all that configured, you want to start using some schema markup. Now, schema is almost like a programming language per se. Not quite a programming language, but it is sort of like a programming language. And it tells Google what your website's about. It's hidden from human eye, so the human eye can't see it on the page. But you want to go in and start marking up your schema. So to do that, we just go to the Google Schema Markup tool, and I do believe I have it opened up here. And I want to go through and I want to pick, if I pick this logo here, I'm going to make that an image. And if I'm going to find Centerpoint IT here, I'm going to make that the name. I'm going to find the phone number here, and I'm going to mark that as the phone number. And you do all that, and then what will happen once you get all that done is you create the HTML, and it'll give you this code right here that you give to your website developer, and you have them put that into the HTML or the PHP of your website, so that Google has the schema markup language now on the site. So when the bots come through, it reads all that, and they can tell that, Centerpoint IT is a local business. Here's their logo file. Here's their phone number. Obviously, you're going to do more, but that gives you a quick, introduction to how all this works. So we've done the schema markup. We got all the on-page done. We're going to optimize the homepage. And then we're going to create all those location pages. Remember, so I showed you, we did the homework on the keywords. We built our H1 tags for page URLs, our title tags. Now we put to work, start building out location pages. So again, location pages are essential if you want to be, especially if you have multiple locations in and around a city, like in Pittsburgh, for example. This one here is just a quick location page of a company that services Pittsburgh with a Pittsburgh IT services homepage. Keyword, again, keywords right here, Pittsburgh IT services, IT support and IT services in Pittsburgh. That's what we call an SLA, which is not your typical SLA that managed service providers are. They are synonyms to keywords. LSAs, sorry, not SLAs. LSAs, which are keyword synonyms. Google looks for that as well. but you see that Pittsburgh's mentioned here. So this page here is dedicated to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you go to their website, you'll see they have some for places in West Virginia, Erie, Pennsylvania. They have different location pages for different areas where they service. Then the next step, if you think we got all this going on so far, now you want to start looking at structured and unstructured citations. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, my Lord, Stuart, we're half an hour into this webinar, and you're giving me all this great stuff, but now you're adding more onto it, and the answer is yeah, I am. Because if you want to do local SEO properly, these are things you must consider. So citations are either structured or unstructured. A structured citation is a local business directory, your Chamber of Commerce listing, Better Business Bureau listing, your listing on Foursquare or Facebook, those type of things. TripAdvisor, well, you guys aren't going to go into TripAdvisor that often, but all these different sites that are built to be business directories, that is what we call structured citation. The name and address and phone number that we talked about earlier in Google My Business needs to be the same on these sites. So you have to go through these sites, each one, and add that in exactly like you have on Google My Business, or as close to exact as possible. An unstructured citation might be a reference in a blog post. So somebody's writing a blog post, hey, I went to XYZ managed IT service company today, and they reference you in their blog post, or it could be a listing on a vendor website or something like that. So that's unstructured. So that one, not necessarily as critical to get everything 100% correct in that, but because you can't really control it. But structured citations, as close to matching exactly as you possibly can, is critical. So how do you test your citations? Well, Moz, M-O-Z, local is a great tool. You can just go and Google Moz local, and you can type in your company name in there, and it will tell you if you have some work to do. This one here, this example here, has a current score of 44%, and Moz Local is claiming that you can get it up to 85% with their help and a little bit of money going towards them. But that's a great tool, free tool for you to test things out. Local SEO needs to be your top priority in 2019. You don't want to be these people here where things aren't being found, or having wrong phone numbers, or whatever. You want to make sure that your company is being found for local SEO. So here's some tips to build inbound SEO. Okay, so we have to get out there and we have to build a brand out there on the internet now. So if you are working in a local environment, let's say your market is in Pittsburgh or Atlanta, the two examples I did, create guides on, the Pittsburgh CEO's guide to selecting a managed service provider, or the top 10 lists, or frequently asked questions. I love a book. I have a real passion for a book called They Ask, You Answer. Again, if you stay to the end, I have a special offer for you to get a copy of that book, absolutely free. I love that book. I promote it every time I do a webinar. I can't get enough of it. It has opened my eyes on how to do content marketing. But you want to create a guide to managed services, or a pricing guide for managed services, or something like that, and create that and put that, a Pittsburgh business owner's guide to selecting a local IT service company. People will share that and link back to your website for that stuff. What they won't link back to is your sales pages, or what we call money pages, on you selling or positioning a product or service. You need to, and it's crucially important, and I've been doing Ulistic now for almost 10 years, and I have clients that have been with me for 10 years that do extremely well on inbound leads through SEO. And I always tell it's been a 10-year ride. We've been doing massive amounts of content, print, blogs, video, audio, you name it, massive amounts of content for years. And structuring our content on vertical markets, I'm going to come back to number 2 in a second. Vertical markets, technologies, and locations. And number 2 is something new I kind of injected into my vertical approach, is writing content for job functions. So I mentioned earlier the guide for managed services, well, the CEO's guide to selecting an IT service company, the CFO's guide to selecting managed service company. You can create these materials and market it to a certain segment of the population job role. The chief marketing officer's guide to selecting a managed service provider. Everybody uses the technologies a little differently, so they're going to have areas that that matter to them. If you can capture that, you're a step ahead of your competitors. Other things, look for guest post opportunities. Just do a search on Google, cite:"write for us," and in Toronto or Baltimore or wherever you are, it'll tell you which blogs have paid or what websites have pages looking for people to write for them. And then create and execute a media strategy. That's one area that we take very serious at Ulistic. I have a dedicated resource now who does nothing but media and PR for our clients. And I can tell you, in the 6 months that we've been doing this now, the clients that are very engaged on the media side are getting a lot of news coverage. Again, that is great local coverage. So if you get covered on the the local newspaper for cybersecurity, that just adds huge amounts of credibility, and that's part of your local SEO strategy. Again, I didn't mention this at the beginning. I should have mentioned it earlier, but I think now is a great time to bring it up. Gone are the days of SEO, search engine optimization. Now we're looking at search engine domination. So if you can have more than one result on the first page, that we're working towards search engine domination. How you do that? Multiple website properties, great local SEO, getting published on other people's blogs and materials, that all lends a hand. And then when you get this stuff out there, you share it everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google My Business, and more. And then obviously reviews are super important as well. And again, going back to your Google My Business account, you want to make sure you're getting reviews and people are putting reviews, and then you're answering the reviews on your Google My Business account. Just like I did here when this one here from Don, I put an answer back. People like to see that you're engaged. Not like that poor MSP business owner from Tampa who didn't even own his Google My Business listing. You want to make sure that you are answering people's positive and negative reviews on your Google My Business account. And then post frequently to your Google My Business account. Now, you don't have to do this manually every time. There's a great plugin from Tycoon Media. I posted the link to it here. The post to Google My Business plugin for WordPress. If you have a WordPress website, you can install this, and every time you publish on your blog, it'll publish it out to your Google My Business account. But again, why not take advantage of the posting part of Google My Business? Google, it's part of Google. Why not? Like, I can't see why you wouldn't, because if Google owns it, you think Google's going to index it. So it can't hurt to have a link back to your site from a Google property. I mean, just can't hurt. So what's coming down the pipe? Well, lots. This one excites me and scares me a little bit. So although it's not available yet to IT service companies, it will be shortly. I'm not sure exactly when, but it will be, is Google local service ads. What I like about Google local service ads is all the reviews are authenticated or authenticated by Google, so to make sure they're real. The companies need to be guaranteed by Google, and there's quite a few hoops you have to jump through to become Google guaranteed. Don't quote me on this, but I heard things like credit checks and criminal background checks, depending on the industries, are in there. Lots of stuff. So things that you got to look at. The reviews are all real reviews. not fabricated or reviews. So don't know when that's going to hit the IT services side yet, but if it proves in the HVAC and a few other these business consumer type of service world, it won't be long until it is. And the nice thing about Google local service ads, you don't pay for the lead until you qualify the lead. So unlike pay-per-click now or retargeting now where you pay for the click, now you pay for the lead. Now, I don't know how much a lead would cost, but if I wanted to get my garage door opener repaired, and I went and got somebody who did that for a job, and I did it from a Google local service ad, he or she would pay Google for that business. Again, that's the only time you pay, and you have the opportunity to say no to Google and say that wasn't a qualified lead. So I think Google is starting to see the light here a little bit and starting to open it up a little bit more. But that's coming down the pipe. I'm not sure. Again, not sure when it's going to hit the IT industry, but I've been talking about it for a while, and it's just a matter of time. This year, next year, a couple years down the road, it's going to happen. So what can my team do to help? Well, you don't need to do this on your own. We have a lot of different services that can help you with it, like making sure they have the structured citations looked after, on-page SEO's done, the content's all done. So we have two offers that I want to make available to you folks today, and that's it. You're not going to get any more sales pitch from me. One is our $197 a month local SEO service. All that is we put information into our system, and then from there, it propagates and takes care of all those structured citations that I mentioned earlier. It puts out, the Google My Business, Facebook, all the different other services that you need, and it tracks that. So, and again, if we need to make one change somewhere, it takes care of it. So you don't have to manually go into every single site to do that. And then our enhanced SEO services gets into all that link building, the on-page SEO setup, and also includes the stuff from the local SEO. So in the enhanced, we can do competitive analysis, competitive research, keyword link building. So we're going out there and building 40 high domain authority links every month on 8 keywords. So there's lots of stuff that we can do to help you here. If that's something that interests you, my contact information is there on the page. Send an email to info@ulistic.com. If you would like a copy of the Marcus Sheridan They Ask You Answer book, completely free, no strings attached. I just love to share his work. Again, send an email to info@ulistic.com with a subject, send me They Ask You Answer, and I will get that out to you as quickly as I can. Again, no expectation in return on my side. I just like to share Marcus's great work and how important it is, and it's how it changed my approach to how we market our client services. So if you're interested in any one of the SEO, if you're with any of the MSP marketing companies out there, Pronto, Vertical Action, or have your own site and you're not working with anybody else, you can easily bolt these services on and we can take care of it all for you, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on. So Amber, that's all the material I had today on local SEO. There's so much we could do, and I try to condense it down to the most important things. I know there's a lot of information still probably outstanding. People can always, if people have questions, now is a good time to go ahead and ask them.
Thanks so much, Stuart. I'm just going to go ahead and launch that poll I mentioned way back at the beginning. And if everyone could just take a second and answer that for us, that would be great. We always like to improve the webinars. So any feedback really helps. And Stuart, having you here today was great. So much good information. I can't even go into it. You already did, you know. I really feel like everything you presented today, you know, is really going to help people out.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of it out there, and it's really hard to figure out, okay, what's going to be most important for everyone. So I try to keep it a little bit basic by not making it too basic.
Exactly. So like Stuart said, if you have any questions that didn't get answered, go ahead and pop them in the chat or questions panel. I did have a few questions. If today's presentation is recorded, yes, it is recorded, and it can be provided upon request. We just need like the next day or so to get it online. and then by all means we can send out the recording. So it does look like we have one question waiting, Stuart. Do you see it there, or do you need me to pull it up for you?
Oh, let me open it up here. Okay, my question and answer page is not opening for me for some reason. Let me close down the poll. Maybe that's what. No, for some reason it's not opening. Go ahead and read it out to me, Amber, please.
Okay, so we have a question. If there's an onboard fee
for the service, no onboarding fee.
And someone else asked, could we have more clarification regarding the $197 service? What exactly do you do?
So if yeah, that's a really good question. So we have some proprietary software that we use, that we put the information into this tool, and it takes it and verifies against all the probably 100 plus different services on the internet. And if there's duplicates out there, it will suppress the duplicates and replace it with the right information, or give us an opportunity to manage it. So nice thing about it is that we consistently are paying it, staying on top of this. And we're also building what they call, all that stuff I showed you about your websites, making sure that your address and phone numbers, all that consistent on the website. We tag that information on the website, and we're also, using this platform. And I could more than happy to do a demo if somebody, has more questions and show them how it all works. Because there's a lot of stuff there to really explain, but really in a nutshell, it takes and manages, consistently manages all of the local SEO and tracks all that against different rankings and competitive analysis. There's a lot of factors in there.
Great, and I'm sure obviously if anyone's looking for more information, contact Stuart through the Ulistic website, www.ulistic.com, or email him at info@ulistic.com. Once again, Stuart, thank you so much for joining us today. It looks like we have one last question.
Yes.
Is there a minimum commitment to either the $197 or the $497?
So the $197 does come with a 1-year commitment. Actually, sorry, both come with a 1-year commitment, because the fact is that the license, we have to license the tool that we use, and we have to pay for that in a 1-year term. So we do require a 1-year commitment on that program.